Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to this 12th monthly HBNI webinar. I welcome our respected speaker, Sri Shashikant Nayak, Founder Director of Vensol Ventures Private Limited and former Chief Executive Director of Heavy Water Board, DAE. Professor U. Kamachi Mudali, Honorable Vice Chancellor of HBNI, Dean HBNI, Professor A.K. Taggi, all Associate Dean and Assistant Deans, and our officiating registrar, Professor Naveen Kumar. HBNI students and faculties, offline and online, Dean academics, and all the online participants, ladies and gentlemen. This webinar series is designed to help the present students of HBNI in their placement and in their career pathway. We are very much thankful to our esteemed speaker, Sri Shashikant Nayak, Founder Director of Vensol Venture Private Limited, who has agreed to give a talk for our students. Thank you very much, sir. I now invite Honorable Vice Chancellor of HBNI, Professor U. Kamachi Mudali, to welcome our speaker with a bamboo plant shoot as a token of our respect and appreciation. Thank you, sir. I now briefly introduce today's speaker, Sri Shashikant Nayak. Sri Shashikant Nayak is an outstanding scientist and former Chief Executive Director, Technical and General Manager, Engineering of Heavy Water Board, Department of Atomic Energy. He has done chemical engineering from Lakshmi Narayan Institute of Technology, LIT, Nagpur University, and joined Heavy Water Board in 1984 after completing their training school from 27th batch of BRC Training School. He has worked in several areas of production of heavy water, which is a vital of Indian nuclear power program. Sri Nayak has been associated in design, engineering, and commissioning of industrial scale isotope separation plants set up by a heavy water board. He was leading the diversification activities of the board in designing and deploying innovative chemical processes, including specialty materials production for nuclear energy. Currently, he is the founder director of Vensol Ventures Private Limited, which is a clean tech startup focused on driving sustainable solution in hydrogen energy, H2 generation system, biogas, and biochar. So, without much ado, let me now invite our esteemed speaker, Sri Shashikant Nayak, for his talk. He will talk about career opportunities in entrepreneurship. I encourage you all to actively participate, ask questions, and engage with our speakers. Sri Shashikant Nayak, sir, please.
Evening, respected Dr. U. Kamachi Mudali, my previous boss, Dr. Tyagi, Professor Datta, to all the officials of HBNI, students, a very good evening to you. And actually, I feel a little bit uncomfortable because, I have just, as Dr. Mudali was telling me, that I'm just a 2-year-old into this business of entrepreneurship. And I was a 40-year-old in Heavy Water Board and the Department of Atomic Energy and the Nuclear Energy. So speaking about something in which you had just started taking baby steps probably is a little bit more difficult than, talking about, like you asked me about heavy water, and I think I can give a 1-hour extempore talk without any presentation or none. But this is something like a very fascinating journey I thought that I can share with you, because when you listen to so much of content is there on YouTube about startups and founders and the successful founders, the unicorns and all those kind of people, then you don't get much of a substance from them because they are already at a level where probably they have crossed all the challenges which are there in the initial phase. And many times they don't even remember what are the challenges which are there when they started. So it becomes essential that I have just started into it and I am facing what all things I am facing. I hope I am able to share it with you on this. So first of all, this is not a talk about entrepreneurship versus employment. Then let me make it very clear, because both the things have their own both pros and cons. There is a different charm of being employed, being working in an organization, and there is a different charm of being an entrepreneur. You can compare, I mean, they are like two states of matter, like solid and liquid. Nothing good about solid or nothing good about liquid, but they exist. So in that way, I feel that we'll not be, kind of comparing this to this thing. But I would definitely like to make a case for thinking of a career in entrepreneurship. Now let's start with the word itself. The word with that complicated spelling of ENTRE and PRE, all those things has basically a French origin. And the funny thing about the word is that you should never pronounce E as E. So you have to replace the E with O. And now you can pronounce the word by replacing the E with O, it becomes entrepreneur. Okay, that's how the Frenchman answering. But it has been widely accepted in English.
Indians.
And yes, of course. And Indians have their own way of pronouncing it. They would like to just be phonetic about it. Entrepreneurship, like we'll completely put it on. But nevertheless, it's a very interesting word which actually makes a differentiation between what is an entrepreneur and is it something like what we used to earlier call, when I graduated probably way back in 1980s, as self-employed person. So does it mean the same, or is entrepreneur different than kind of a person who has sought a self-employment? So basically, entrepreneurship in the simpler words means it's a process of starting, managing, and growing a business. Okay. Now, I don't know, when I was graduating, there was not even a thought of being an entrepreneur. My father was a professor at NIT Nagpur. It was a very clear defined. You have to take a job. The whole crux was that ki job mila ki nahi. Not that whether you want to pursue any alternate path. Because the first question that used to be asked is, where is the money? How can you become entrepreneur? So everything was focused on this one. There were a couple of nationalized banks which were kind of extending loan after literally taking everything from you as a collateral. And there were some state financial corporations which used to give a very harsh loan with very high interest rates. And that was the kind of scene. So money was not there. So nobody thought of becoming an entrepreneur. But now I think in 2025, the situation is different. And there is availability of money. The country also has progressed a lot in terms of its financial milestones, in terms of its various achievements in the sector. There is a heavy support from government for the entrepreneurs. And therefore, I think this is the right time to be an entrepreneur. So I would really encourage all the students actually, and particularly I am very focused on students who are doing their doctoral work. Doctoral work is a time when you can really think seriously about entrepreneurship. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. Let's explore this path together. There are, it's not like that this is the best possible option that you have, but you can always consider it. Okay. So what I'm going to basically discuss is something about this, that first of all, why choose this path? When you can get an easy job, when you can get into a company and when you get a paycheck every month, and why do you want to have this hassle of becoming an entrepreneur? So something has to be there. Then is there a right age? Should I do it when I'm at 22, or should I do it when I am 40? Should I do it when I'm 60? Is there anything like that? Or maybe what are the really qualities which an entrepreneur require? I mean, apart from money is something which we can deal with later, but there are certainly some essential qualities that we need to have. And that's what I have experienced when I kind of left this Department of Atomic Energy and started on my own journey of becoming an entrepreneur. Yes, the startup landscape is very exciting, but it has a lot of challenges. It's not an easy ride as it is projected to be. When you see the startup founders talking who have made more than 100 crores, they have a different language altogether. But if you look at the people who are struggling at the bottom, then there is a different picture. But it doesn't mean that success is not there. Okay. Then we come to having your own team, and then what are the challenges and what is the reality of the things that are existing on this one? What are the kind of, when you think do something outside your comfort zone, there is a kind of a different set of mindset that is required to deal with it. So first, why choose entrepreneurship? For the time, the first question, this thing answer that comes in is basically, I want to pursue my passion. Good. But are you able to make a distinction between your interest, hobby, and passion? You see many people playing cricket, you see many people playing tennis, you see many people starting companies and all that. Is it more driven out of curiosity, or it is more driven out of doing something different? Or is just like, I want to just have a flavor of it? But if you are having a passion for it, then yes, entrepreneurship is the thing that you should be pursuing. Passion means then you would be kind of doing anything for it. And when you're doing it, the most important marker that you know is that you will not be mindful of the time that you are spending on it. That's where the difference comes. And that's where, you say that you are passionate about it. It definitely gives you a lot of freedom with respect to, like, there is no boss to set your goals. This is required. This project is there. This has to be deadline, March end. We have to finish, show this expenditure. We have to sign so many of this one. Nothing like that. No, you set your own goals. Not only that, you set your own role also, because there is nobody else actually probably on this. And most of the time, you are the team, at least at the beginning phase. And then you start, kind of, and then of course, there is an enormous growth, because when you are put into the water and when you start looking at things around, you get a different perspective of the world. I have dealt with so many vendors, all the big organizations when I was in heavy water board, but you stand before the same vendor as a startup person, the way they look at you is completely different. I mean, you just don't have any credibility because you have not earned a single rupee for your organization. Your company is just into the infancy phase. You're just registered. So what is he going to listen to? I mean, they don't even give time. They only have a respect. Oh, this guy is from maybe DAE or BARC. Okay, so we'll listen to him. This must be having some idea. But apart from that, there is no credibility that you have. So practically, you come from a high point of your life to zero. And that's where the whole fun begins, actually, provided you are open to it. And then, of course, you can once you are an entrepreneur, you can escape all these corporate constraints, rigid structures, promotion, mila ki nahi mila, is saal nahi mila, to next year milega. What is the upper grade? What am I going looking at? When is my thesis going to get complete? When am I this one? So you get trapped into something which is basically somebody and has, because you're working in a very structured and hierarchical organization. So you don't have that element of freedom that. So it's for this reason that you can choose entrepreneurship. But this question is very important because each person is different. Each person has a different temperament. Each person has a different resilience that when you fall down, how quickly you get up. Each person has a different way of communicating with others. Each person also has a different way of accepting failure. And that is where actually it's important that you just have to look at yourself closely. And you have to really ask this question that whatever I'm going to pursue, is it coming from the mind or is it coming from the heart? That question will actually, that thing will decide. Because as long as this is a matter of courage. And please remember, courage can never come from mind. Courage is the inherent quality of the heart. You are courageous because you are courageous. So one has to really look at that aspect and really answer this question, yes, that why should I choose entrepreneurship? Now, this is small statistics actually. What is the age of startup founders? Because when I went into, like fortunately, because I was the chief executive, I was wearing the blazers and the suits, following my boss' footsteps. So it was not a very difficult thing for me to go into it. But when I think that everybody, has this look, I mean, why? I mean, what is the reason? Like, is the retirement benefit not enough? Or is there any pressure for you guys to work actually on? So that's the kind of thing which they look at, because in that landscape you have everybody who is around 25, 26 of my daughter's age. Actually, they are the one who are in the startup ecosystem, fighting, struggling, looking at various ideas and all that. And then you suddenly have an old man with gray hairs, kind of. And then what are you looking at? So just this, I just got this particular statistics only to say that this the average age of people who have founded the highest growth startup, and there's a beautiful definition of that. The top 1% of the startups are considered the highest growth. They are around the age of 45. So what it means is that maybe at 22 or 30 or something like that, you will not be able to make it because you don't have the right connect, or maybe you don't have the right network, or you don't have the right resources to do it. But within maybe 5, 10 years, you reach to a position where you can dominate and you can control. So the highest, so average age of 45 is good. But when you look at the older entrepreneurs, that's an interesting thing over there. The success rate of older entrepreneurs is quite high as compared to this one. And we are talking now about extreme startup. That means they have generated the highest employment. So if you take the basically OLS coefficient, that is the least square method regression, if you do it, that is the x-axis which is representing over here, it shows that the graph is very favorable for a old man to get into it, the entrepreneur shoes. And probably this was one of the motivation for me that, yeah, let me try it out actually. Otherwise, everything is set. The children have grown up, they are settled. There is my wife is working, so there is a salary coming still at home. Whatever we have earned as a retirement benefit is good enough. There is nothing more that is required. And most of your desires also are on the wane actually. So you don't real much of this. But somewhere that bug was there, that धंधा नहीं किया, हमेशा तनख्वाह लिए लेकिन धंधा नहीं किया. So that thing was there at the back of mind that yes, I have not done a business. So maybe to have that particular thing sorted out, I stepped into a kind of an entrepreneur mode, and it also happened quite. So let's look at it first. That what are the essential entrepreneur qualities that we are looking at? So three things: innovation, experimentation, and initiative. To put it very simply, actually, how can you bring the fresh ideas to life? And even if you get an idea, how can you play around the potential of that idea in multiple things? And then do you have that contextual awareness in the sense that having developed a certain thing, having got an idea, are you aware about how it can be replicated elsewhere? Or what will be the impact of that? And then what is the vision? Why are you pursuing this? Is your objective only to make money? Is your objective to give employment? Is your objective to give a sustainable technology? Is your objective only to do something out of just curiosity or interest? That means we actually looked at so many ideas when we started this whole business, that what do we look, because we had focused ourselves as a clean tech startup, that we will be dealing only in clean technology, sustainable, and which will be kind of be able to make an impact. Money was not very much of a priority because me and my two partners, my other partner is from DRDO and another one is from IIT Delhi. We three were kind of well off. I mean, even if this damn thing fails, we are not going to be much impacted on tuition. But then that's the real point where we picked up that where we can have an impact. So what should we get into? And that's where the whole journey of innovation starts. The thing is that even if you have an idea, and these days, when you look at the entire cross section of startups in Europe and US, most of the ideas are coming from the PhD work, which the students are pursuing. So there is a kind of a professor-student relationship that eventually becomes an entrepreneur. So you look at your work with a lens as to what all ideas that can be spinning out of it and where you can actually encash that idea. Because it's not only too important to have an idea, but once you have an idea, that's just a beginning. The subsequent journey is more tough, and probably you have all the skill sets to get the idea into place, but you do not have the subsequent skill sets of how do you monetize that idea. And that is where the entrepreneurial mindset comes in. Experimentation. I think most of the science, technology, engineering people are very good at experimentation. We can do multiple kind of things. But there is a difference actually where you are continuously learning, and not that you are getting stuck with a particular idea. You are adaptable to immediately change it. For example, I was working on a project where we wanted to measure the state of mind by using physiological parameters of the body, like blood pressure, oxygen saturation, your electroencephalogram, electrocardiogram, heart rate variability, and all. The important thing was that we were looking at this for a healthcare application. But the first investor with whom we had met with this idea that can we correlate the state of mind of a person with the physiological parameters that he is displaying, he said, hold on, hold on, hold on. He said, I have got an interesting application in mind. We are going to sell this thing to the premium category of people playing golf. Because when a golfer takes the final shot, he has to have a full control on his physiological parameters. So he can just refer to his smartphone, and if he feels that his breath rate is high, he can just cool down for a while. He can just control his this thing, look at the heart rate, and then take the final shot for it. We never thought about it. Then the second guy said, we have an interesting application. Because this is a wearable. You can just wear a ring, which is going to give you the parameters, or you can just wear a watch. He said, hold on. When a person comes for an interview, when we are recruiting people, you can just put them in the room for when they're waiting and just monitor the physical by just asking him to wearing a band. You will come to know about the state of mind. Maybe you can just put on some questions to him and see how his response behaves. So it becomes an excellent HR aid for recruitment. And even for that, then he said, even for the people who are on the high risk job, like air traffic controllers, they can actually check their health parameters, vitals, and assess the state of mind. So small thing of physiological parameters versus the state of mind can have multiple spin-offs. So that's where the idea is important. That's where its manifestation is important. That's where its potential is important for various applications. And then you have to look at all that cross-section. I would have gone like in typical DAE that this is my proposal and I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to make heavy water, or I'm going to make a specialty material like this, and you approve it on this one. With that mindset, listen, the moment you see that the breeze is flowing this way, you will have to change yourself. You have to be adaptable, and you have to be listening to what others say. Because remember, all these people who are ready to invest money, and for them, 10 crores or 100 crores doesn't matter much. They are all there after seeing multiple startup founders like us. So they can assess, and they don't spend more than 5 to 10 minutes with you for giving an audience. But the kind of potential that they look at is quite amazing. So once you have the experimentation, then you have to take the initiative, which is the first step. Yes, let's start with something. But sustaining that initiative is really important, because that's where your resilience builds in. And without resilience, you can never be an entrepreneur. So these are the foundational qualities basically which you build upon to become what we call as resilient entrepreneurs. But yes, it includes a lot of things like stepping outside your traditional boundaries. In fact, you have to leave behind your conventional career paths, a nice settled job, predictable rise, C to D, D to E, E to F, F to G. And then you look at salaries, which are this thing with pay commission giving you additional this thing every time. It's all, kind of you're in a very comfort zone actually on this, because everything is known rather to a certain extent. Maybe you get the promotion or not, that's a different matter. But no, you more or less know. If not this year, next year probably I'll get to. But here you have to basically embrace the unknown with a lot of courage. And like this is something which you don't even know, and you are not even trained for all these years. At least I was not trained for kind of embracing the unknown, because I realized that I have always dealt in knowns. There were my life which was where I didn't know anything about it. Like you go to a meeting and suddenly the discussion starts on something else, and you don't even know what are we going to respond and how is going to be our reaction. The next thing is that, so in an organization you are generally a specialist. Like you have from C to D, or when you go in a scientific organization like DA, you kind of build on some career and you become a specialization in certain field. Here you have to wear many hats. You are a salesperson, you are an operations man, you are the one who is doing the strategic planning, and so number of skills that are required becomes quite a bit. And there is nobody else to support you. There's no like organizational support, that hierarchy support that you get. And then of course you have to develop comfort with ambiguity. There is not going to be clear things laid out before you for you to take on. Okay, this is very clearly defined, and then you work on it. And you have to always look at these opportunities which are there, presented as obstacles. Okay, if this is not working, then this is how I'm going to make it happen. So these are the kind of some of the qualities which probably I didn't have. Now, just this is how my this thing started. So decades of working at Atomic Energy, close to 38 years, building experience, interacting with the industry, and in heavy water board, we were lucky that we were interacting directly with the industry. So we knew a lot of people in this one. There were a lot of people in the network. And then, of course, after superannuating in 2021, this thing came up, that is what is to be kind of done, because the bug was already there in the mind that entrepreneur to banna hai, but kaise banna hai? So started wondering on ideas, met a lot of people, traveled extensively, met a lot of people from academia, from industry, whatever was known to it, started bouncing the ideas. And then suddenly this thing came up that there is something which is happening in the hydrogen economy. Hydrogen gas is needed as a fuel for mobility. Now, fine. And everybody I saw in that entire spectrum was working on electrolyzers. Let's get the electrolyzers quickly, reduce cost, more efficiency, and on that. So multiple groups in the country. And apart from the import option from Europe and all that at a very fancy cost, they normally charge something like 25 to 30 times the cost of an equipment which is there. We have no, there was no presence of any option over here. So we came out with something like that. Why do you want to produce hydrogen from kind of water? Why not use ammonia? And this is where my heavy water board training came very handy, because in heavy water board, we have been handling this ammonia in hundreds of tons in our plants. And we have been decomposing, cracking it left, right, and center in various capacities and generating hydrogen, which is required in the process. So I said, if something which we have been doing for the last 60 years is well proven. I mean, there is nothing to prove. So why not just make it compact and present it? So we came with a solution that, look, we have got an idea and we are going to give you hydrogen immediately. And it's not only going to be hydrogen, it's going to be in amount, the whole plant can be sit into a shipping container of 8 feet by 40 feet. And it is mobile, it's portable, and it can instantly give you hydrogen. Maybe it is not a green hydrogen, because if you green ammonia is available, it can also give you green hydrogen. But till the time green ammonia becomes available, we can always take gray ammonia and produce gray hydrogen. At least there will be an hydrogen refueling station which can deliver hydrogen to the cars. So with this idea, we launched the company. So this was somewhere around 22 that we got the idea. We just first launched a limited liability partnership company and then started working on solution. So our unique solution is basically a ammonia cracking solution for hydrogen generation. And now look at the kind of ideas that got built up when you meet different set of people. They said that can you be mobile? That means if I need hydrogen, can you come and deliver the hydrogen to me? Now we had never traditionally thought about like petrol pump will come to us. If you need a gasoline, you have to go to the petrol pump. The petrol pump will never come to you. But that gave opened up a new avenue. Yes, we can be mobile. So if can be mobile, then literally we can become the Uber of hydrogen. That through an app, you just book a hydrogen. We will come to your place and deliver the hydrogen to you. So your refueling takes a new meaning altogether. Now you are not bound by a fixed site. There is no investment in land. Your units are mobile. You can just go wherever that truck is positioned. You can just go and fill up that hydrogen, collect your money. And if somebody is going and giving you a fuel, initially may not charge it, but subsequently we can monetize that. So the whole thing got into a different domain, right? Rather than just simply what in heavy water board we're doing, we're just cracking ammonia and producing hydrogen. So from there, we move to a situation or a solution where we can provide customized hydrogen. So we started looking at it, who can be the potential customers? So then these large fleet transporters like Shriram Transport, Delhi Transport Corporation, who have something size of 3,000 or 5,000 buses, trucks moving on to this one. And they are under tremendous pressure because they are completely on diesel. Diesel is creating havoc in terms of Delhi because the pollution span is now extending to 5 months, where the SPM remains to a very dangerous level. So there is an enormous pressure on them to switch to something else. And now both Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland have come out with hydrogen internal combustion engines. Now this is going to happen another after 2 years. So if you look at it, my customers are going to be on road after 2 years. But I have to build up on that and set my entire retail strategy before that. So that's where the whole thing comes, that the idea is very simple, that if you heat ammonia, it is going to get decomposed and it is going to give you hydrogen and nitrogen. And then you separate those gases and burn. But that idea to kind of monetize it and not only earn on. So when we presented to Tata Motors, I said, you don't only earn on trucks, you earn on refueling also. So for every truck you sell, it's not important that you should also be selling kg of hydrogen to them. So you'll earn on every kg of hydrogen. It's the same way that Reliance operates on with the Geo and all that, that every call you make, you end up paying them. Well, that is what is going to happen with Adani, that they have 90% of the ports in India belong to them, that you'll be paying for each and everything to them for getting the material in and sending the material out. So they can actually look into having a hydrogen solution as a part of that. But then comes the major issue, is the funding dilemma. Paisa kahan se aayega? That's the $1 million question, which has always been there, even when I graduated those many years back, and even turn. But now there are a lot of options available, because you need money to first secure the initial capital. You have to build a system, let's say, like what we are building a system which is costing about 4 crores. So we have to put in that money. And the golden rule in business is that never use your own money. So there is no question about putting my savings, my retirement benefits, and then starting a company on this one. That doesn't make any business sense at all. It only kind of gives me a gratification that I'm doing something. Then you have to maintain those cash flows. You will have some revenues, you will have some expenditures, and then you will be, have to. And one of the major reasons for the startups to fail is that they are not able to maintain the cash flows. And the third and most important thing, which I realized, to maintain your investors. See, investors, particularly in the category that we are looking at, we wanted only an investment of 10 crores, 1 million USD. So investors have a very kind of a different mindset. For them, 10 crores is nothing. The first investors I met in my whole pursuit, he, after my small introduction that he's from so and all that, he's कितना पैसा चाहिए? Straight. So I said 10 crore. तूने दे दिया. अभी वापस कब करेगा? So I said 3 साल तो लगेंगे. हाँ ठीक है बोले, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. 3 साल 4 साल रख लो बोले. 4 साल के बाद कितना कितना वापस करेंगे वो बताओ. So he is only interested in getting 2x, 3x, 4x. That if he invests 10 crores, he gets 40 crores. I do the whole donkey work. I set up the whole unit. I get into this one, and he's expecting a handsome return from me. That's a typical investor mindset. And just before I had gone to meet him in his office, he had already given 10 crores to a person who had come with the idea that, sir, we'll have a Bollywood event. We'll call the celebrities, we'll call the dancers, we'll have this one, and we'll sell premium tickets, we'll put 5 lakh with dinner, drinks, and everything all to this one. And we'll kind of have it in Bremont Stadium and all that kind of thing. And he was very excited. He said, karo, immediately, do it. Let's show me the money actually. That's the only thing. So how do you maintain? Because you know this guy is a fool. You know this guy is only concerned about money, but he has the money. Okay. Now, one of the things which we had utilized is that investors also have a syndrome called FOMO, the fear of missing out. That typically investors meet में the talk goes on कि वो कांजी भाई है ना, उसने हाइड्रोजन में 10 करोड़ लगाया, 50 करोड़ लगाया, अपन ने कुछ भी नहीं लगाया. So there is always a fear that somebody else has invested in their company and we are left out of it. So we also want to invest. So you have to also capitalize that what is the fear that this guy has when he's investing in it. And we have to understand that. That's what is called as managing the investor relations, aligning their expectations with reality. And here, purely communication is the key. How well you can communicate and convince him for giving the money. But now the funding landscape is very good. You have pre-seed right from 1 crore to 5 crore. There are plenty of people who are this one who will be only bothered about your initial concept development. The beautiful part of startup is at every stage you have different experts. There are people who only invest in pre-seed. They don't bother about it. Later on, what happens to that? They said, we'll give you money. You go up to this point and we kind of come out of it. Then there is something who gives you at seed stage that we can give you at seed stage, seed fund, 5 crore, 10 crore. Then somebody says, no, you come up to seed stage with other money, but we will give you only for the growth. When you go up to 100 crores, we are not interested in smaller tickets. So ticket size is 100 crores for us. And then there are people like, when you exceed 100 crores, there is a huge amount of people available for expansion. So you have 4 different segments of people willing to invest in you. How you tap them, how you align with them, how you look at, kind of this thing is important. Because everywhere they expect that you know everything. Nobody checks your technical knowledge. It's not like that F2G interview where you are still asked the basic fundamental question. And if you flunk in that, there is a possibility that you may never get that promotion. So nobody is going to ask you what is the ideal gas law. Nobody is going to ask you whether you have done thermodynamics. Nobody has asked you whether you have done the simulations. Nobody is going to ask you. But they expect that you are going to do that. What we are concerned is with money. So the whole thing is start. But in that, the landscape is quite amazing actually. And you have got some very intelligent people, some very kind of people who, understand the whole business in and out. And they can actually point you out that this is up to this point you can go and then you don't go further. So they will advise you accordingly that where to stop. So that's where the whole learning comes in form of it. But of course, initially to start with, you can always go in a kind of a bootstrapping mode where you don't employ anybody. You are the team, you are the owner, you are the operator, you are everything else. You have resource limitations, but you can still do a lot of work in this. So you can do the entire kind of research work. You can in fact do the simulations which are required for an engineering project. You can also do a lot of engineering work, which is your bread and butter, that you can build a system, which otherwise would have required you to pay a fancy amount. You can do it. And you can come up to that state. And then, of course, we have friends and family. Like by the time I retired, even my friends had become investors. So there were people who were willing to bet that, oh, this guy, I know this guy for many years, that he can. So we call them friends and actually fools because they believe in us emotionally, but they don't know what is the real capability because they had never come to BRC and seen our work over here. Or so this. So, but there is a, kind of, you need to have very clear agreement, understanding with them, and then the fund becomes available for. Then comes the most impressive category of the startup funding, is the angel investors. These are the people who actually understand the business. They know what it is there. They know the intricacies. They know where you are likely to fail. And they are the people who will say that, okay, we'll come to it. Like if you want that amount, but we'll need equity in your company. So they might ask for something like 10 to 25% of equity. And then with that equity, they will start going into this one. Typically, their engagement will be something like for 3 to 7 years, they will be with you. And they will expect a return from you after that time. But the advantage is that many times, in fact, they are the kind of mentor type of people. Like Nandan Nilekani is actually an angel investor with almost 200 startups. Just imagine what is the appetite that person has. There are many, many such people who into different segments, like in pharmaceuticals, in biological sector, that who have this inherent, innate ability to mentor a startup. And those are the angel investors. Most interesting category, very intelligent. You can learn a lot from them. Next comes the venture capitalists. They are known as the sharks. Sharks, they will just come gobble you up on because they have money. So they will start with the funding, like, okay, what is known as, typically you must be reading those terminology like Series A funding, Series B funding, Series C. And their objective is very clear. They have collected that capital from people around. And with that capital, they are entering into a company, allowing your company to grow, and then they will exit. So once your IPO comes, like Paytm, Nykaa, on all those IPOs they came, then the venture capitalist exits. So he comes with something like 15, somewhere between 15 to 100 crores, and he walks out with 700 to 800 crores. That's the amount of money, that margin they look at. 10x is the minimum for a venture capitalist to get into it. If he doesn't see a 10x potential, he will say, "Baad mein dekhte hain." So he is the one of the more, but you need them because if you have an idea, like what we're discussing with a company called Naira, which basically they have gas stations all across the country. They say if your idea is successful and you have to certify that it is successful, then we would like to implement it across 10,000 gas stations across the country. And this has to happen within a year or two. The moment the hydrogen market vehicles come into the road, we are going to have it. Now, where are we going to get the money for developing 10,000 units and manufacturing them and deploying them into their gas stations? And that's where this venture capital game starts, which is one of the big obstacle, big challenge, big opportunity, but yes, big money. But then, of course, you have various other funding options. You have grants, competitions. There are many, many things actually on this one. Defense has a very good thing called as IDEX, where you come with an idea. Like we had gone to defense saying that we will be developing a power boats with hydrogen fueled power boats. Because normally they find that with diesel boats, they are not able to intercept the enemy boats. Diesel is not that good enough. Or even in when we met Indian Army for their units along the border, along the Punjab border, they said that the worst part we have is our diesel generator sets. वो दुश्मन को पहले ही पता चल जाता है जब हमारा डीजी स्टार्ट होता है धड़ 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 करके कि that they are going to do something. So they all are right. So we want something which is silent. Give us something in hydrogen where the whole power generation is seen without any noise. So those kind of things do come up as a challenge. So they put it on their portal. Then you bid for it that, okay, we take this challenge. They will straightway give you 50% of the funding. If the project cost is 20 crore, they will give you 10 crore. And 10 crore you have to see. But the good part is that once it is successful, they will give you a minimum order quantity. Say like we'll buy 20 units, we'll buy 30 units. So your sustainability is there. Not that you just demonstrate and then it dies off. Because in this world, like even if when we deploy our first unit, whether it call it mobile or whether it call it anything else. Next day, businessmen from Gujarat and Punjab are going to rip off that unit and make the same unit at half the cost. It's very, very natural, normal, inherent, and innate quality of we have in this country. And there is no law that you can prevent. You might be having a patent, you might be having this thing, you fight for this, and nothing will happen. I mean, they will go at some remote corner, maybe they'll go in Tamil Nadu and they'll start selling that thing immediately. By the time you come to know, they have already sold 20 units. So defense was assuring you that the technology will be guarded once you give it to us, because nobody will be able to have an access to it. So that's one of the challenge that you have, that even if you develop a super product, the next day, if it is available at 50% of the price, you lose all your earning opportunity. Okay. So basically choosing the right funding mix is the most important part. How much to yield, how much to succumb, how much to gain, and what are your timelines, targets for which you require money. That's where probably the whole skill lies in getting the finances. But of course, you have to look at one very important competition, that who are the people who are competing with. We ventured into a project called as grass to gas, because we are dealing with sustainable technology. So there is this variety of grass which is called as Napier grass. Napier grass is normally used as a cattle fodder because it's a bit sweet in taste. The cattle, they like it. And the fantastic part is that it grows very fast. Like in a year, you can take 7 yields of it. And the lignocellulosic, the stuff that is inside the grass enables you to crack that grass and convert it into methane. So you have CBG, compressed biogas, and there is a beautiful scheme of government of India that Indian Oil, HPCL, BPCL will buy it assured this thing from you with the price also, stipulated price, 70 rupees a kg, they will buy the gas from you. So all you have to do is put an anaerobic digester and put the grass into it, let it ferment, let it produce the gas, purify the gas and sell it. Very principally superb. The moment we got into the kind of discussion, the biggest hassle came in. What about the supply of grass? Who is going to supply? So we looked at the farmers around, because farmers were cultivating that grass and they were selling it only for 50 paisa a kg for cattle fodder. So I said, we will offer them 1 rupee or 1.5 rupee. They should be dancingly coming to us. 3 times the rate they are getting. Then I came to know, or we realized, that there is something called as FPO. FPOs are basically a group of farmers, farmer producing organizations, which are essentially controlled by politicians. Now, FPO basically comprises of something like 1,000 farmers, 1,500 farmers, 2,000 farmers together. So once you have contract with them, that much of thing is with you. But then they will initially supply at that rate, and then when know that your plant is dependent on their grass supply, they are going to raise. So another factor came up, that this is the price of that commodity, what we are buying from them is not fixed. And that is what we have planned in the design, that the plant is going to cost 15 crores and we are going to buy this one. But the whole profitability just erodes if they increase the price by 50 paisa. So here we have to look at an extensive this thing and kind of leadership. And the second factor came up is that Reliance has decided to set up 1,000 biogas plants based on this concept. So we were talking about one plant, and then the thing comes that they are setting up 1,000 plants. So where is the competition? Like, they will just swallow you. Like, you will have no way to kind of move through it. But of course, getting sold out to Reliance also is a good proposition. You make your money, you get a technology, they will roll up the technology. So that ability to exit at the right point is important when you are on the entrepreneur. Don't get attached to that biogas plant. After all, you are not married to it, or neither it's part of your family. You just leave it. When you get a right valuation, just get out of it. Building the right team. This is the most important thing, because you have very limited people. And then you have to have everybody on board who is going to devote 100%. So you have to have that. You have to do a talent acquisition. Right now, like we did a talent acquisition, but two of the PhD students, one from the microbiology stream and one from the chemical engineering stream, to do specific work on to this one. But yes, they have to do much work actually as compared to a normal research scholar. I mean, it's like practically the sky is the limit for that. Then there is, like there's no proper, kind of role definitions for at the startup. Like there is no corporate kind of a ladder integrated. So you have to do everything. That's actually becomes tiny because many times if you do not have a person of that aptitude or that attitude, then it doesn't really give you the meaningful results that you want. And then time is the essence. So you have to work very fast. Product development. Here is the one stage where we go from ideation, converting that idea, building a prototype quickly. Like we build up the prototype for that physiological system for the state of mind within 3 months. We tied up with a actually institute in Bangalore. They said we have got all the things. Let's put it on a platform and quickly demonstrate it. And the company which actually eventually interacted with us, they said, "Boss, you exit. You have done this much, good enough. Give it to us. We'll carry it forward. Now you are not required." So we were also happy with that. Okay, fine, doesn't matter. We because the same concept you can also kind of do something else with the same idea. But they were very clear that we would like to take it up. So this is what actually will be kind of the whole this thing about the product development and innovation. Then yes, there are scaling challenges from the startup phase to growth phase and to maturity phase. We have to kind of run through various iterations to kind of overcome these challenges. Each has its own flavor. And the most important is at maturity phase, when you reach that maturity phase, you have to convert that into an organization. So the whole beauty of startup is lost. And then you become a rigid, structured, integrated, hierarchical organization. Yes, there is a work-life balance that is required. At 60, I realized that I don't have that much of energy to kind of put in that Mr. Narayan Murthy says 70 hours a week. Subramaniam of L&T says 90 hours a week, and all that. And there is a like many people think that you are retired now. Why are you getting into this hassle here? Come on, attend the marriage or do this one and all that. So there are a lot of family things that come up onto this one. Your children also expect that पापा घर में बैठो पेपर पढ़ो और कॉफी पियो ना why do you want to get into all this आराम करो so it's all that thing but of course like if you are taking care of your physique if you are kind of and if you have that passion in you still that spark is there you can easily see it too because it's a very enjoyable process the joy of an entrepreneur is the biggest reward that he gets for it. It's something like that trekking. Many people consider fools only trek. What is the point in climbing up a hill, going over there when you can see everything from here and then going here and coming back and feeling joyous about it? What is the joy of trekking? So it's like it's very difficult to explain, but that's the joy. Yes, I have already told about developing the resilience, seeing failures as opportunities, or seeing this kind of things like now you stop and give the product to us, we will take it up further. It's very like it's like parting with your child. Like now you're taken care of it, the child. Now you give it to us actually on Zoom. And you have to connect with a lot of mentors and peers. And most importantly, like there are some people who have a very good understanding of the entire business landscape. There are some people who have a good understanding of the financial landscape. There are some people who are excellent at how do you market that and get the thing. So you have to, kind of keep on learning continuously. So life, LIFE means learning is forever. That it doesn't stop. And of course, there is a deep commitment that you require. You have that, you have to take a risk, all said and done. Then, because at times you are vulnerably placed, you have to make certain payments, you have to have those kind of financial distress that comes into it. You cannot just get like chicken away from that. Now, this is one of the most interesting statistics or slides I can show. So India is the third largest startup ecosystem after US and UK. 128,000 startups. Growth astronomical from 450 to something like 128,000 ventures in just matter of few years, 15 years. We have 5,000 plus angel investors in the country. 1,200 plus venture capital firms. Just imagine the size of the entire, kind of ball. Incubators, accelerators, 1,200 plus one. And then we have 119 unicorns. Unicorns is the companies whose valuation is above $1 billion. 850 crores. 850 crores is a big amount. Even companies, very big established companies for the last 30, 40 years have not made 850 crores as valuation. But there are 119 unicorns which have just come out of also. Of course, most of them belong to the IT sector. This thing like Ola, Ubers, Oyo, and this thing, platforms and aggregators. But the reality is indeed sobering. Actually, only 10% of the startups survive beyond 5 years. The mortality rate is 90% of people finish in 5 years. And the vast majority fail in the first 5 years itself. If you are able to cross, they say 5 years is the kind of time. If you are able to cross that, then you can survive. Because probably you have that resilience. So this is one thing which probably is a very disappointing strategy. But let us look at only the 10%. Na? Why do we look at 90%? Because we are here for that. Like normally in BRC recruitment, when we used to chair those committees, so they used to call it selection committee. But in fact, it is a rejection committee only.
More rejection than selection.
More rejection than selection. So I used to wonder why they call it selection committee. So it's like that. Why do you look at the 90%? Look at the 10%.
It's rejection only.
So here you have, what are the factors which are influencing the startup success? Experienced leadership, yes. You have people with prior experience who enjoy a 30% higher success rate. So if you have spent good enough of time in corporate environment, say like 45, 50 years, till the age of 45, 50, you have been into this one. You have to kind of start thinking about being an entrepreneur when you just join a company. Any company you join or any organization you join, whether you are working on into this one, you have to look at this, you have to have this mindset, what I can pick up from here. How can be a competitor to the same organization? Or what are the kind of unique this thing? What is the differentiator they have? And if you happen to be fortunate in an organization like Department of Atomic Energy, you have to constantly work on ideas. What is it that can make the difference? Like if you have look at the engineering startups which have come up, like there is that nanoswift in basically material science and the catalyst development. There, I mean, people have developed those kind of formulations and catalysts when they were in the lab in PhD. So they, by the time they completed their PhD, they had a full-fledged idea about this project that can be taken up. And yes, investors are willing to bet on that. It is, see, a 22-year or 25-year-old is likely to have a very good chance of getting a good investor because actually the investor feels there is not much of a risk in this. If he gets a subject matter expert to examine the idea and the subject matter expert says, yes, this is doable, he will put money on. So it's an excellent phase to start with. Then there are a lot of government supports. Now we have a big startup ecosystem, and government has promoted, and government is promoting heavily on that. And only the grants are very pathetic. 25 lakh, 30 lakh. मतलब वो रोटी कपड़ा और मकान भी नहीं उसमें बन नहीं सकता है. Like but the beautiful part is that once you get a government grant, or once you are incubated in a government setup, more private investors see that as a verified startup. Because government has scrutinized all your papers, government has scrutinized your capabilities, they have seen you as a this thing. So they are confident. यार उनको उनसे 25 लाख मिले हैं ना तो अपन 25 करोड़ तो डाल सकते हैं. That's the ratio that they look at. Like typically Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they always will pick up the first applications will be from where you got the funding from BIRAC, whether you DST and all those kind of things. They are very particular about it. Then of course, now you see like the geographical expansion which has taken place. Earlier, all these innovation businesses were in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Calcutta. But now 50% of the startups are in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. 50% of the startups are there. And that is what actually makes the whole landscape very interesting. You can virtually start a company anywhere. You can do your R&D anywhere. Like we were working on a project, on an idea for what is known as biochar. That is basically converting those stubbles which are left in the field with a controlled oxidation and capture the charcoal, carbon to it, and so that you can create something which is known as biochar. So once the carbon is assured, you can use that as a soil modifier, and same thing can go back to the field. What we use is that we use our chemical engineering knowledge that we will create a portable gasifier which can be taken to the field. The farmer who has cut all the stalks and everything else can bundle it, put it into the gasifier. Gasifier will generate the biochar, and biochar will be going as a soil modifier. This biochar has an excellent kind of a microstructure if you look at under ICM. So what the next potential that comes is that you can plant soil-friendly bacteria into it, and then it actually improves the soil quality. So the first project that we took up, we got a break, I would say, was with this Arvind group in Gujarat, near Ahmedabad. They are biggest cotton manufacturers, and they have captive farmers, and their soil is getting degraded. So they were looking for a fix where something can be done to improve the soil. So we came with a proposal that we will set up this unit for you, and then you kind of look at the viability gap funding, like how much you would like to invest in to this one and how much the farmer gets benefited on. But of course, these are all things which are going to take them 2-3 years for the trials to take place, because you can't make plants grow faster. I mean, you can probably make mobiles grow smaller and smaller and more compact and more intensive, but you can't do anything to the biological. So we'll have to wait for those trials to come up. We have already had about 5 equipments onto the field. And if the results are encouraging, another third possibility that comes out of it is that we can get carbon credits for it.
Yes.
Now, carbon credits are right now traded as $200 per carbon credits. So if you are able to prove that your emissions are under control and your carbon is captured, that the stock, whatever carbon content that is there, gets back into the soil, you have got a winning proposition. And if the farmer is able to generate a carbon credit, there's an additional income for him. So our theme of that clean tech startup of a sustained rural livelihood actually got a boost with that. Now we are actually got a second person from Indore who is kind of willing to take up that lead and then start producing. So all the big industries who have captive farmers with them from where they source out the cotton are the potential customers for it. But you see how the ideas come. It's something like just burning a stock. Around Delhi, when they burn, it adds to the pollution in Delhi. But if you are able to do that controlled oxidation, you can actually convert it into a beautiful product. That is it. But finally, 100% passion fulfillment, the joy of this thing, infinite satisfaction, and the 24/7 legacy, creating something that outlasts our career. And that is what this thing, but the important thing is that you have to take that decision. And then I follow Ratan Tata on that I don't believe in taking right decisions. I take a decision and make it right.
I think it is really amazing and wonderful. And Sasi gave his own journey to passion. How at 60 plus after superannuation, somebody can, in fact, I was just kidding him in my room that you are just 2-3 year kid. Yeah.
सर वो क्या है ना हिंदी में कहावत है कोहन में गुड़ लगा हुआ है मतलब there is jaggery and elbow you can see the so this the jaggery the jaggery would have not
left. It is really amazing that he put his entire journey just after superannuation. That's what I was telling him. You are just, he was telling me that such a senior person, what I can talk to the young kids. They're all just doing PhD and they are about to start entrepreneurship. I said, don't worry, you are just only 2-3 year old. In entrepreneurship, you are just 2 year, senior, and they are just going to start. And so you should give your experience. This is very, very important experience. Then, after some 20 year, 30 year, if you ask him to give the same talk, that will be in a different platform. The success will be there on your crown. But you see Ratan Tata, you just showed him just now. What was his age? And he was, greatest supporter of the startups in our country. Okay. So I don't think that the age is a bar or age is a limit. It's only your passion and your, interest in that. And, I just met him last year, the marriage of his successor's son. So ever since he has been in touch with me, and he's very passionate, and he's trying to tempt me also many times that what are you sitting here and doing? So, but I know that even during my tenure in the Hayward board, I have seen Sasi is very passionate about technologies. In fact, he was more the success of the Hayward board's specialty product. One of the reason is that his long association in the starting from the concept to making a design, then making a prototype, and making the product coming out. So that he has been very passionately doing. And the last product during my tenure, the Crown Ether. It was so expensive, per kg it is more than 2 crore. And we made it for about 20 lakhs or 25 lakhs in Hayward board. That under his leadership it was done. So DAE gave a lot of opportunity to, whenever there is some challenge, idea comes to us and we try to do within our ecosystem that is available. But when you go out, you have a lot of ideas, but you don't have any ecosystem. So you have to really struggle at everything. And I think each and every slide is a lesson. And I don't think that you will get it from anywhere in a textbook or somewhere. The whole lecture, if you listen 2 times, 3 times, you get a lot of motivation. You come to know that how somebody has to face at every step what kind of challenge and what are the opportunities. And last but not least, he told that 10% is the success, not it's a failure. So, we always think that selection committee, it is not selection committee. Maybe 10,000 people come, we choose 100 people. So 9,900 is rejected. So that is a rejection committee. So I think that today, I think we had a wonderful time with you, Sasi. And this career opportunities in entrepreneurship is an eye-opener for all young people. I know that YouTube will have a very big hit this time, and a lot of people will be able to see. And I think we should provide his contact mail ID if anyone want to also, with your permission, that and contact numbers. Many will, many are interested and they can contact him further also. Yes, chat box you can put it. In the YouTube also people should be able to see, so that that is very important. We should do that. And thank you, Sasi, for sparing your valuable time. And I have been pressurizing you for this lecture. And today it is done. And this is only an introductory part for the students. And I think that when we have a bigger occasion also, I would like to call you. Probably we would like to have some bigger event along with CAI, and I have been in touch with them. In fact, last week we had a program in ACTREC on innovation and entrepreneurship. At ACTREC, we had only for life science PhD scholars, and we called about 11 experts on those are already in different stages of entrepreneurship. And I think that your continuous interaction and contact with HPNI will be very valuable and useful to the student, and I feel even for the faculties who are going to just about superannuate. It's definitely it's a motivation for them that they can go different levels of contributing to the nation's growth. That's what I see that. And today, if you see from 450, you become 1.29 lakh ecosystems. The startup systems. And how many will succeed, that is different issue, but each one is going to contribute. And that is where we have 119 unicorns, $1 billion companies in India, that is third in the world. So this is contributing to the nation's wealth, and definitely that we benefited with your webinar. Thank you so much for being here. Maybe we'll have a couple of questions and interactions. I think there is one question. Do you take IPR of all those you have innovated? I mean, how do you protect your innovation? I have 2 points corollary to that. What about the IPR of your earlier organizations, IPR that you are taking? Like for example, the hydrogen production.
Atomic Energy Act prevents you from taking IPR.
IPR. So, I mean, how that can be? And second thing is that when you do something innovation on that, and then how do you protect it and sustaining that? This is very important. You said that, you know, you go to Rajkot, you give anything, you will get it back. Any item you give, they will re-engineer and they will get it back. So it is very useful in our country. So how you are going to protect this idea?
First of all, we actually started from the first principle of ammonia decomposition, which was a 100-year-old chemistry equation. And we built up everything on that. We built up the thermodynamics, we built up the thermodynamic model, simulations, and catalyst. And then we took some trials in the laboratory and kind of finalized it. But of course, we have not yet built the prototype because prototype is costing a lot. But in fact, if you ask me, frankly speaking, IPR is a big joke. I mean, I should not be saying it on a public platform, but see, it doesn't offer you any protection. Whom are you going to chase? How many people? If somebody like a big company like tomorrow Tata's or Reliance, they, you know, kind of this thing, then you can, yes, sue them that, okay, this is my technology or this is, we have IPR for that. They will buy the IPR from you straight away. But we are talking about a huge cross section of people who are just so adept in doing the reverse engineering and who can make the system within few hours. And it will be sold across India Mart and Just Dial and all that kind of thing. It will be available for us. So it's not practical actually in this thing. So we do not have any publication. Neither we disclose the idea. Because when you're filing an IPR, you have to give everything. What is around that? Otherwise, they don't accept. So in business, it is very clear. If you are doing business, forget about all these things. Just build the system, look at that business opportunity, sell those 1,000 units and move out of it. Then let people come and take whatever they want to do. You have made your money. So that is where it is very essential to define with the investor. Okay, we look at 1,000 units sell and this 1,000 units will make this much of money. Then there will be the marketing people who will be telling you, no, you have to sell that 1,000 unit within 6 months. Then only it will make sense. Otherwise, it's very, very kind of, because what we are engaging into is not a very complex technology like a PHWR or kind of AHWR where you require, or a heavy water plant that will require a massive investment, supports and everything else. Most of these products that come, I mean, that's why China is able to kind of sell it at almost 20% of the price at what Europe makes. You look at electrolyzers. And of course, we have a Chinese competitor who is making the similar product actually. Yeah. And we have a competitor in UK also. We have two international competitors. There's a company called AFC Energy and in China, Capsom. Within 15 days of our putting it on to this one, immediately they had their this thing. And nowadays, nobody actually discloses the product picture. They only show you video, animation, and everything is generated by AI. Neither those people exist, neither the machine exists. It's just a kind of a thing to show you that this is what it is. So basically, we will not be, and if we are not able to protect. I mean, let me tell you, at our scale of operation, it is very difficult to protect. But maybe,
no, but sir, you told you have two international competitors.
Yeah.
Now, if they file a international patent application, that will prevent you from doing anything further.
Yes, but we have a lot of ways of means of going around it. It is not that we will be replicating the same product.
There will be always some innovation which will make you
Add it to the product.
Yes.
Even they are not disclosing what is it. Sometimes it so happens.
YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Yeah. So it's most of the time it is something like that they themselves are their patents are so vague that they don't know what to protect. But yes, there are certain things like for the in the biosector, pharmaceutical sectors, and all that. You have to go through a lot of procedures and regulations and all that to get through this. Then you require everything. You require proper patents in place and moving.
More questions? Yeah. Mike, you can.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you just make some one question you already have answered about IPR protection? I was just about to ask that what is the fun in doing that? You already answered. Second thing is that uh, you said that only 10% survive in India. So what is your estimate about other countries? You mentioned that we are third, the first two countries.
Yeah.
What is the success rate for them? And just yesterday or day before, I have read one news in Reddit that many of the top investors or industries they are moving out of India.
Hmm.
So what are is there any correlation between that the ecosystem is not good in India and it is better outside? So what do you just
Sir, I can say that as far as the US system is concerned, the US startup ecosystem, because I have actually seen it very closely for more than 3 or 4 months when I was there, is very heavily backed by the universities. And universities are backed by private endowments. Like Elon Musk had kind of about $100 million he had given to the UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, for their. So in a way, the private money is coming for that sense. And then they have a very structured way of doing it. There will be professors, there will be students who will be working on it. The university will support them all throughout till the time they go to venture capitals. And with those kind of supports and backing, they have a very high rate of success. Maybe I would say around 30-35% of this one. Same is the case with UK. The advantage with UK is that UK also has investment coming from the Middle East, the Saudi funds and the all those guys. They don't trust US, but so more money flows in over there. And Indian investors are going out. Actually, even in fact, we are contemplating. We are talking to a company in UK basically who has a kind of a very structured way of looking at things. Like there's a company which is, I'll not disclose the name, but its company is basically engaged only in hydrogen distribution. They don't care how do you produce hydrogen. They only want that in their pipeline, we should feed hydrogen. So they say that you come, get set up your units and start feeding into it. We'll pay you as per the per kg hydrogen that you put into it. Now the deals apparently appear to be much simpler, structured, and there is a good opportunity for you to kind of encash an idea. Secondly, I feel also that the patent laws are more stringent over there, executed in a more stringent manner. I mean, they will chase even the smallest of the company if there is a violation.
And for example, this also reflects on the immaturity of our ecosystem, and we have to struggle hard for bringing it for its muscle building. That is definitely required. But then is our Indian system, either administrators or the individuals or companies, aware that we need muscle building and doesn't come easy? It's not like some person just gaining some weight by drinking alcohol. It's not like that. Muscle building is different. And for that reason, do we have that very basic awareness, or everybody in general, whatever you have seen now, that kuch to karke dekhenge, let us try, no harm in trying. That attitude is one. And another thing is that, yes, very basic. For example, I will quote one one example. Last year, seeing things, I think ISRO has declared a policy for 100% FDI. And I am still, till then, for a lot of time, I am wondering how this 100% investment is going to yield muscle building for us. Because if anybody is investing 100 rupees in India, he is definitely going to take out at least 300. So unless we are capable of earning 400 from that, we are at loss in a due course. Somewhere at some level, we'll be definitely at loss because he's taking more out. So do such policies support muscle building. Because if they're investing in technologies and research experiments and all ISRO missions and many other places also, they will always hold their very strong right on the technologies developed. And we do not have marketable commercial technologies then. And anybody who does not want us to prosper, they will always, because Russians denied cryogenic engines to us. It's a pretty good example we already have. And many more such things are there. So from this angle, what do you feel?
Yeah, I think your comment is right, actually, that we need that muscle building at the ground level to kind of ensure that whenever any investment comes into the country, it results into some sort of a basic capability building as far as India is concerned.
Sir, I have one simple question, Jana sir, that what you talked about rightly, that when this jaggery is there, once that jaggery is there on the elbow, then it becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
And all of us know that from our DE statistics also, I know that those who left the department, they were in first 2-3 years typically. And now if I look at from all the students, though the question is on the metaphysical level, you can say something like this, not like technical one, how to overcome the static friction and the initial inhibitions? Or what are the parameters one should look for? Just like when the students are there, that I can pursue this. Or let me put it another way, just I will take one more second.
Okay.
That see, you have your journey. You become entrepreneur at the age of 60. But if your son or daughter is there, see, he is school going ornaments in the college doing PhD. What signs you will look for that yes, you can go into this?
See, so I think, sir, the answer is completely on how is upbringing actually. Why in when we all were studying in schools, there were certain people who were very sure that they are not going to study further. They're going to get into the business. मिठाई की दुकान है, हार्डवेयर की दुकान है, all those kind of self-employed people and all that. They were never this is what never wanted. They were very clear mindset actually. Somehow we have that thing that कि नौकरी करने से मतलब वो जो है एक सेटल लाइफ, स्टडी लाइफ, कंफर्ट जोन वाली लाइफ मिलती है. ये that thought is so deeply penetrated into our psyche that it's very difficult to overcome that. I mean, first of all, we have to kind of educate them that entrepreneurship is not about like just making money. I mean, just buying maybe gehu at 40 rupees a kg and selling at 43 rupees a kg is not entrepreneurship. It's about creating an enterprise. It's about creating this. It's about giving jobs.
Is keen to take sarkari naukri, very safe, or risk taker. And Sir C.V. Raman said in 1930 itself, when he got Nobel Prize, that we Indians have everything what a European can boast of, or American. What we don't have is enough courage. And that's what has been shown all these decades. And today also, after close to 100 years, he's correct here. 95 years के बाद में भी देखेंगे आप, उनका statement अभी भी valid है.
So basically, the take-home point is that if you know that this technology is having some potential, particularly for the student, plunge into it.
Other way, sir. I mean, I'm just if we are not missing the point. You start with this one that I'm going to do this PhD work by developing idea, kind of playing around with the ideas, and one of the ideas I'm going to take it further in entrepreneurship. I start with that. I take a decision.
So that's you nicely summed up, sir. When you talk that wherever you are working, you look for what are the differentiators, and then you enter into that.
And
that's probably the reason that why means in 30s, not the early one, in 30s or then beyond in 40s, the success rate is highest.
I also have a comment to make.
Yes, sir.
Of course, now number of startups has gone up considerably. Government also is supporting in many, many ways. But still, I realize that even among entrepreneurs also, a good number of entrepreneurs want to play safe. That's why they go for service-based entrepreneurship, which is predominant. I don't know if it was discussed earlier or not, because I left in between for some time. Most of them want to go for shadi.com, Swiggy or Zomato. So less investment and more return. Large volume, less profit, more return. Quick money. So that risk taking among entrepreneurs also is not up to the mark in India compared to what we have elsewhere in the world. Yes, yes.
इस बार ये एग्रीगेटर क्रॉप खत्म हो जाएगा,
हाँ.
क्या क्या एग्रीगेट करोगे? एम्बुलेंस एग्रीगेट किया, कैब्स एग्रीगेट
yes,
किया, हॉस्पिटल्स एग्रीगेट किए, आपने ब्यूटी प्रोडक्ट्स एग्रीगेट किए, जेप्टो 10 मिनट डिलीवरी, 2 मिनट डिलीवरी, व्हाट आई मीन
So it has to saturate, and
Nee,
then
but-
comes real.
बट सर दिस इज एन अर्निंग अपॉर्चुनिटी.
Primary and secondary sector, 50%, 60% in America is tertiary sector only.
Service.
So the development in this is
Volume growth is more.
I agree to some extent, but now this service sector, we have certain potential to grow and become Viksit Bharat. But manufacturing sector is the one which has got large bucks. You compare with China.
That's why America is now going back to making a.
Yes.
That's why they are-
So one cannot ignore as a nation or as an individual manufacturing sector. And that's where comes the risk factor. In my family, my grandfather. Eh?
Lifestyle in China is different and America is different. Probably it is because the manufacturing sector is more vibrant in China. They struggle like this. And in America, they enjoy because they have.
Yeah, but I am seeing from nation's point of view, for rapid growth of GDP and all that, we have to strengthen manufacturing sector.
दोनों चाहिए सर.
Service also is required.
सर्विस रिक्वायर्ड
Interlinked.
एम्प्लॉयमेंट तो सर्विस से आता है ना. आप जेप्टो देखो, जस्ट बिकॉज वी आर लेजी that we don't want to buy grocery and we wanted that grocery जब चाहिए जब तड़का लगाना है तब मैं I order for a कड़ी पत्ता and it comes.
Need based.
So they have exploited my laziness and they have provided service, and then how many people are getting employment on that? ये भी तो है. Exploitation is also there. I do agree.
But what kind of employment? Last week only I read in Times of India that many of them are playing with their life because they want to have,
Correct.
speed
Yeah.
to have one more order. You read Times of India like me. All this can be, this internal discussion, not to be posted.
It is already there in YouTube.
YouTube. So YouTube one comment is there, so just
Yeah, what was that?
They will
They-
see later.
just so that is only.
Yes, madam. You
Okay.
can.
So I'm really thankful to our speaker, Sri Shashikant Nayak, for such a wonderful talk. Let us have a big applause for him. I'm sure that students will be very much benefited. The talk is not is very much will be in YouTube, and they will get you can see the talk afterwards also. So now I'll thank you very much, and I will also thank our Vice Chancellor Kamachi Mudali and VC HBNI and Professor A.K. Taggi, Dean HBNI, and Associate Dean Assistant Dean Registrar HBNI, and thanks all who are present here in person, and thanks to our online participants. I'm sure that YouTube link will be going to be viewed afterwards by students who could not participate and get benefited. Thanks to IT person for making the online talk possible. Thanks all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you also.